Hello and welcome to Sioux Online. Now that we've completed the candidates in Sault Ste. Marie, we are going out to Prince Township. Today we have Antoinette Blunt. She is contesting the Reeves chair against Ken Lamming. Hello, Antoinette.
Hi, Mike.
This is your first kick at the can in politics, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What made you decide to run in this election?
Well, I've lived in Prince for 28 years, and for the last few years I've looked at the leadership in our community, and I really feel what the people of Prince Township need is effective leadership, and I believe I can provide this. I've also had some friends and residents in Prince ask me to consider to run because they're aware of my background and my leadership skills.
Could you tell us something about yourself and your past?
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Sault Ste. Marie. My first career was nursing. I worked for many, many years, over 25 with the Victorian Order of Nurses. I was the executive director of VON just at the time in the late 90s when VON no longer serviced in the community due to a change in government politics. I then opened my own business in consulting in human resources, labor relations, and leadership. And I've been working for employers for close to 15 years now throughout Northern Ontario. I've also worked for numerous municipalities in the District of Algoma as a consultant.
During the all candidates debate, you keyed on leadership. Can you comment on the type of leadership that Prince has had during Lamming's tenure as Reeve?
Well, I think it would be most appropriate to comment on what I've observed in the community. I really feel that a number of residents have been upset. A number of people have found the past 4 years to be very tumultuous. There appears to have been a lot of conflict among members of council, causing a lot of disruption in the community, and that's really what I've observed.
People, continuing on with that, people outside of Prince Township see this council as a soap opera with all its infighting and lack of cooperation. Why can't this council get along and work together for a common goal?
Well, it's really very difficult to be precise given I haven't been part of this council, but what I see, and I've observed this through many years in business in my leadership roles and helping organizations that are in conflict, is what I see is the leadership. In order to have cohesiveness, you need to have a leader who understands how to get people to work together, how to affect appropriate relationships and communication. Conflict isn't a bad thing, but it is when it becomes personal and disruptive and people aren't treated with respect and dignity. I think ethical, respectful leadership that understands how to get people to work together collaboratively will certainly change that.
Do you think the goals of the people on council are different enough to cause this conflict?
Well, again, that's very difficult to be specific about that. I don't know if it's exactly the goals because I really see people on council as being representatives of the residents and representing what people want. It may be a lack of understanding of the issues. There may be some personal agendas that I'm not fully aware of, having not been part of that council. That's a possibility. I'm not really sure.
Well, I've heard complaints about the official plan. Now, what, if any, issues are there with the official plan? And I have to say most of them point to severance, property, farmland. Can you comment on that?
Well, first of all, what I know is the official plan has been approved by the government, so there's nothing illegal about the plan. It's a legal document, otherwise the government wouldn't have approved it. One of the things with respect to severance of farmland, I'll say, is I'll go back to the strategic plan of the township. People in Prince Township want a very quiet community, a residential community. They want nature respected. They don't want big business coming in to boost the tax base. But subdividing property that's there to allow more residents to live in a family environment, to me, seems to coincide with one of the goals that the community has identified in the strategic plan.
People don't like to see taxes rise. But that's probably the best way to get more taxes in to the township, is by severing and allowing more people to move to the township. And especially one person that's running in the campaign is dead set against severance and having more people move in. Can you comment on that?
Well, not specifically, but what I can tell you is I'm certainly aware of more than one resident who's had a large piece of farmland that has wanted to sever it to allow their children and their children's families to be able to live out there. And to me, what better idea than that? I mean, bring your family there, ensure you have land for your heirs. That increases the tax base for the community. You know, provided that the severance allows people to reside in the type of community that we want, to me it doesn't seem that should cause that level of conflict, and I don't quite understand why it has. All the issues certainly have to be looked at, because there could be other issues involved, like what does that do with respect to the type of land? Is it consistent with the laws of the Conservation Authority? Certainly if land has been reserved and marked for preservation, that we have to respect that. But to me, to turn farmland that's not even being used into residential property seems to be common sense to me. That's all I can say about that.
What are your visions for the Prince Township?
Well, I really want to speak to that, because to me, I don't think one person running should have a vision of their own. My vision is the vision of the community. The community has set forth a strategic plan. In fact, I worked as a volunteer on the first strategic plan for Prince Township. What that does is ensure that you get information out to all the residents of community. You ask them what they want. You try and find out what the majority want and what kind of community they want, and you affect that to ensure that happens. So if I could say what my vision is the community's vision. If I am elected, I'm elected to serve the people. I'm not elected to serve myself. It's my responsibility then as a leader to ensure proper governance of council and to ensure that the community's needs and wants are addressed to the best of my abilities. And that involves the strategic plan, which still has 4 more years. If anything, I would want to make sure that the priorities in the plan are identified, to make sure that what people want today is what they wanted a year ago, and also to make sure to get messages back to people. I think the reality in life is no matter what we do, there's going to be some roadblocks. We may not be able to make everybody happy. There may be stumbling blocks because of provincial government or federal government issues, but I think what's important there is to get the message back to people. This is what we've been able to do. This is why this particular initiative is stalled. This is what we're going to do next. So keeping people well informed, and if a decision is out of our control, letting them know that and why. And I think if people have more information, then they'll understand that we may not be able to do everything they want, but we're going to work to the best of our ability, and this is what's going on.
Okay. Another issue that I've heard is the internet and cell phone service. There is none, or high-speed service anyway. And going back to severance, everything seems to go around the severance issue. How the internet providers and the cell phone providers aren't going out there unless they can get a return on their money. So this severance issue comes up again. You have to have more users out there so that the providers will go out there and provide it for you.
Well, in part. I mean, we do have some high-speed internet in some places in Prince Township. I think the other factor that bears on this issue is the geography, the topography. I mean, it's a very mountainous area, and there's a lot of rough terrain, and you go down into the inlet and you're below a mountain there. So we do have some providers. But I think what people need to realize in rural areas is there's a cost to that. And it may be that, you know, if you want to extend it beyond the service right now, it costs more. The best thing that I think we can do for council, because that is a real priority, is to continue to lobby government and continue to lobby current providers and talk to them to see what can we do to facilitate that process. And I think that's something we have to continue to do. It's important for kids who do most of their studying and research. It's important for the elderly. And I know right now that 33% of the people in Prince Township are over the age of 60. My mother-in-law, who lives in the Sioux, said to me, I can travel the world from my computer. So the computer not only is good for the young, it's good for older people. It connects people with children and grandchildren that live out of town. You can't Skype on satellite internet very effectively. You really need high speed. So we're going to keep lobbying for that. I think it's important.
Would you like to say something to the voters of Prince Township?
Well, you know, one of the things I want to say, first of all, is how important it is to vote, because I know that the turnout wasn't as best. It could have been better in the previous election. I believe it is important to vote and make sure that your voice is heard. I think when you're looking for someone to lead you, you should be looking to vote for someone that you believe will best represent the community, someone you believe who will lead with integrity, someone who will really sit down and listen to the wants and needs of the community and do their best to ensure that that happens, and someone who you believe will respect the people in the community. I believe that my leadership style is one of collaboration, involvement with people. I lead with integrity, and I respect people and treat people with dignity, and I believe that's the kind of leader that Prince needs. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been talking to Antoinette Blunt, candidate for Reeve in Prince Township. This is Mike Caruso for Sioux Online. Thank you.